Hello. Sino ba ito? Si Sunny pala. Dalaw.
Tinutukaan ng mga ito eh.
Oh, sige, game.
Asian sir, makasakaling may investments ka rin. Kuha.
Huwag naman yung hingi muna yun dahil pag uwi na ako bukas, wala akong masabi bigla na ako na yun lang. Pero yung, I'll give you a sample, no? Well, binalita natin sa, first, a lot of them were talking about yung ating bilats today, and a lot of the others that we had informal conversations with. Yung, siyempre marami thank you to sa, well, nag-congratulate to sa framework agreement and the readiness to keep on assisting, especially yung search yung word, capability building, capacity building, yung human resource development. So, actually, parang, siyempre, sinagot natin na we also want it from the grassroots. You know? So, we will be asking, we asked actually the MILF to come up with their list of yung priority activities, projects, etc. We'll agree, we'll go through the list once they submit it. Then we agree on the sequence, the prioritization. So, the development and the changes being wrought will be driven from the grassroots. Okay, now, pero besides that, yung Nestle, alam niyo, nag-expansion na for their plant. I think that's their 5th plant in Batangas. Holcim, another Swiss corporation, is presently contemplating, saan nandito?
Additional plants.
Plants eh. Hindi expansion lang of the plant. No? Gawin lang natin plant para hindi mausod. Plant, additional plant, singular. Pero mukhang hindi plant lang. Pero baka sigilin pa niyo ako doon kung hindi maging plural. Kaya kung pwede, plant muna. There's a third firm eh. Sorry, medyo dikit-dikit lahat yung appointment ngayon. Tsaka may mga in-between pang tulad nung may nag-report na may earthquake, no, na eventually hindi epicenter, wala pa na sa atin, pero meron tayong naramdaman. So nakagulo ng konti yung sa discussions. Okay. Japan. We'll sum all of this up na lang, all of the bilats will go home. No? Medyo masyado maraming details. Okay. But I met for the first time, the president of the Swiss Confederation today, the Prime Minister of Norway,
President ng European Council and European Commission,
Well,
Barroso and Von Rompuy.
where we discussed about yung concerns natin about yung lifting of the blacklisting sa air, and also yung concerns about yung
Maritime safety.
yung adherence sa atin doon sa STCW convention. So we were asking them to assist us to ensure that we protect something like about 91,000 of the 300,000 Filipino seafarers. They serve under the European flag vessels. Okay na kayo?
Japan.
Sige na, parang kang dean of the Ocean press corps.
Sir, Bilat sa Japan. Tapos na kanina.
Natapos pero napamadali eh. Dahil parang kinapusan kami ng oras at tinawag na kami doon sa unang session. No, so, may mga issues. No? For instance, yung digital terrestrial standard, pinag-usapan yan. Yung ating Coast Guard vessels, no? That are still, parang we still need one last study by the Coast Guard before we make a formal request, and they're ready to assist us there, no? Both in terms of granting us a loan and also para may provision yata for a few vessels, no? Pero again, soft loan. So ni-reiterate lang yun. Digital terrestrial, we were telling them the process because we have to decide between the new European standard or the Japanese standard, no? And there's still an ongoing study by the DOST with regards to which of the two we should adopt as the Philippine standard for digital TV. May questions about pricing, capabilities, etc. One of the chief features of the Japanese system is an emergency broadcast system Yung emergency broadcast system says that even if the TV set is turned off, there is an ability to turn it on to be able to deliver yung warnings for impending disasters. They credit that for saving lives yung before yung the tsunami. At saka yung earthquake also, they had about a 30-second window whereby they could, they managed to stop the bullet trains among other things. No? So that is already a built-in capability of the Japanese system and is a potential capability of the European system. Ano ba ang discuss?
Sir, yung donations sa Bangsamoro.
Sila? Hindi namin pinag... First, nagpasalamat tayo. If you remember, they hosted yung first naming
Meeting with
physical meeting with Chairman Murad, no? At nagpasalamat ako, feeling ko, yun ang turning point. Nung talaga nagkaharapan at talaga tinatawag na leveling off. No? Parang klaro yung expectations. So, sabi nila, parang ang tugon nila doon, handa silang pagpatuloy pa yung participation nila doon sa international contact group. No? Tsaka to assist in, yung first, congratulate nga tayo doon sa paggawa nito, pero yung commitment nila to continue assisting with regards to really fleshing out the agreement and carrying out parang the steps necessary to achieve peace within what is now armed.
No,
Wala pa tayong specifics na hiningi. Sino ba nagtanong
in
kanina?
general terms lang.
Well, hindi naman kasi talagang parang amorphous yun dahil ang dami na lang ginawa over the years. Even before the agreement. Parang the impression is that we get from all sources is a lot of these countries will be assisting us not just to the same degree that they did before, but after the signing, baka ito at an accelerated and increased level. Pero not specific lang to Japan. No? There's already a call, for instance, to come up with what they call an investment coordinator. May several quarters sa atin at saka foreign. Yung investment coordinator, basically, yung may potential na marami masyado mag-uunahan to develop whatever area, maging parang masyadong Wild West. Let me try and explain that. No? Kunyari, sabi lang, ready na, nakabit yung power dyan, may tubig dito, lahat ng unahan doon. Magtataasan, for instance, ang presyo ng lupa. Baka ma-displace yung mga gusto mong tulungan na hindi medyo, kailangan may guidance doon sa paano itong investment flows na to para talagang ma-minimize mo yung disruptions na negative to the society that you're trying to assist. So, parang what I want to emphasize is there is so much interest to really participate in achieving the aims of the framework agreement, which is first and foremost, syempre yung turo nga ng tatay ko sa freedom from hunger. Nakakailanganin siguro i-manage rin para hindi nga masyado marami liquidity pumasok at walang capacity to absorb. Pag walang capacity to absorb the inflation at paano ko makakatulong kung talaga nagtaasan ang presyo ng lahat doon sa mga gusto mong tulungan, mapapatagal yung proseso. So, kailangan ng more or less para may guidance sa konti para hindi bara-bara mangyari.
Ay, good evening, sir. Sir, na-discuss ba with Japan yung common problem nyo with China over territorial disputes? And was there parang any common ground, any common strategy that you came up with?
Parang nag-update ang isa't isa. At pareho naman nagkaroon na reaffirmation na gusto natin ng peaceful solution. For both ends, no, talaga namang sinusubukan natin i-de-escalate yung situation. And unfortunately, it was at that point na tinawag na kaming mag-resume na yung first session or mag-umpisa na yung first session. And he was number 3 to speak. So, yung first two, di ba, one from Asia, one from Europe, tapos diretso na sa kanya. So talaga na-obliga siyang magmadali. Ako naman kasi I had a little bit more time. I was 15th or 16th speaker.
Sir, follow-up. Were you able to bring it up with the plenary, the issue with the West Philippine Sea?
That I think is scheduled for tomorrow. Dahil there are 5 sessions, and I think the more appropriate topic will be for tomorrow.
Sir, yung were you able to talk with the Chinese premier?
No.
No, sir.
No
Sir,
opportunity today.
No opportunity today. Sir, sir, yung appointment po possible appointment po ni Marvic Leonen, ano pong update dun, sir?
Well, siyempre, presumptive naman ako na ilalagay ng JBC yung pangalan ni Marvin. So, hanggang hindi na ma-produce, hindi na maibigay sa akin shortlist, parang speculation upon speculation yun. Mukhang premature.
But would you rather, sir, that he stays in the yung GRP panel since meron pang...
Siguro parang in fairness naman to Marvin, I should talk to him also. Once I get the shortlist, the style, and the method is to interview the people who are on the list. And then give them all a fair shake. Di ba? Parang and a fair chance at getting their position.
Pero what if he ends up sa shortlist?
I'll talk to him
No
first.
likelihood. Okay lang.
Magkaya ka mag-uusap. Anyway, syempre yung may nagsabi nga the past few days, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Medyo grabe na-achieve ni Marvic, no? Siya yung talagang nag-nuts and bolts dito sa agreement na to. Yung trust has already been engendered. You want to fast-track the attainment of real peace, no? Within ARM. But at the same time, opportunities naman in this profession to become an associate justice, kailangan naman fair. So, if he, in a point, no? Klaro natin, ha? If the shortlist contains his name, then he will also be given a fair shake and a fair chance. Meaning, I will also interview him at that point in time.
Sir, follow up lang. Sir, what about PNP Chief Nicanor Bartolome? What are your plans for him? Is he going to retire this December or will he finish his term until March next year?
Ang major issue dito, malabo yung March siya magpapalit na yun para magkakaroon ng transition. Pagta-transition ka, parang talaga nag-umpisa na yung pati local campaign period, if I'm not mistaken, by that time. Medyo ilang buwan na kaming nagtatrabaho doon sa pag-suppress, yung pag-aresto ng mga private armed groups. Medyo nabahala ako, parang dami ko nababasang parang incidents and violence connected with either incumbent or former government officials. So, if I'm not mistaken, baka may 4 or 5 months na ongoing yan at marami ng mga arrests na pinagagawa. You want to ensure that we have, parati na sinasabi, honest, orderly, peaceful elections. Siguro, mataas yung emphasis doon sa orderly and peaceful. So, at the time when it's most critical that the person who will be directly in charge of the peace and order situation suddenly retires at, kumbaga, peak ng 10 days, mukhang mali naman yata. So, I've discussed that with him. And he might go on what is called the no-duty status. No? We'll discuss exactly when. That might be either end November or sometime in December. At yung by February, meron ka ng election ban. You would want the person who will be in charge of monitoring and supervising the conduct of the PNP to be fully, para to have a chance to organize, to be able to put in place the necessary people to ensure that we have orderly and peaceful elections. So, malabo yung metimon. You would want the person who will be in charge of monitoring and supervising the conduct of the PNP to be fully, para to have a chance to organize, to be able to put in place the necessary people to ensure that we have orderly and peaceful elections. So, malabo yung metimon na by operation of law, biglang aalis sa pwesto sa panahon ng kainitan ng kampanya.
So, sir, hindi na siya abot ng March. Yan ba yun, sir? Malabo na.
The deadline yung 56 na siya by March.
Yes, sir.
So,
Before March.
may ang eleksyon. So, ang thinking namin, baka mas maganda before, kasi may election bank na rin by February, which means hindi ka pwedeng maglagay ng mga tao kung saan. So, pag siya lampas ng February, baka naman may magpapasok pa ng question, pwede bang palitan habang election ba. Yung unnecessary irritant pagdating ng panahon yun. At kailangan, meron talagang siguradong mando na walang duda na tuloy-tuloy pagmamando niya dahil eleksyon na nga tayo by next year.
Good evening, Mr. President. Sir, kasi sa mga interview kay General Bartolome, decided po siya na, na tapusin talaga yung term niya hanggang March 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Kaya neta, no duty status. What does that mean? No? Yung pag tinapos niya sa March 16, yung, sabi niya sa akin, kompleto yung benefits. Hindi ka nag-premature. Kumbaga, sagad na sagad yung iyong retirement pay, benefits, etc. Explanation niya sa akin, in particular, was pag nag-retire siya before that, baka may mababawas. And entitled naman siya doon sa kanyang pension, benefits, etc. We're checking that out, no? Ngayon, ang point lang doon, he recognizes the fact na hindi naman pwede yung timon, yung kapitan. Biglang mawawala sa panahon na talagang nando ka na sa medyo peligrosong pagbiyahe. And he recognizes that fact that, napanganak siya, nagkataon, by March, election year, no? Doon tatama yung kanyang age 56.
Sir, follow-up question. Sir, last week, sinabi po ni Secretary Rojas, meron siyang sinabi na 4 na pangalan for possible replacement kay resigned Undersecretary, DILG Undersecretary Rico Puno.
Unfortunately, that hasn't come to my desk yet. Yung naka-executive secretary pa siguro. When I came back from Australia and New Zealand, we tackled about 5 of the normal folders. At hindi kasama doon sa lahat ng appointments na dumaan sa akin. Itong listahan na nabanggit sa Secretary Rojas. Balik kay Dip. Sige, Dip.
Malapit sa puso. Usap kayo ng Swiss President. Baka sakaling nag-usap kayo sa Marcos Compensation Bill, Human Rights.
Well, natandaan niyo, no? Parang sinoli sa atin itong Marcos Well. Hindi ko alam yung exact figure, wala sa note ko ngayon. At, pero part of it is yung may requirement na idaan sa process para ma-establish yung, di ba, na ill-gotten, tapos mapunta, parang may promise rin tayo at that time na sa compensation. Ang sagot ko, obviously personal, parang personal to sa akin. And personal not in the sense of yung monetary aspect eh. Pero kailangan klaro sa mga aklat ng ating kasaysayan na nagkaroon ng panahon, yung gobyerno yung tinatag ng taong bayan ay ginamit para supilin ang mga karapatan ng taong bayan. Parang kailangan may formality for future generations na may aberrant period. No? Merong bangungot na nangyari sa sambayan ng Pilipino na walang kaduda-duda at maliwanag para masigurado natin hindi na maulit sa madarating na panahon. So, towards that end, ang commitment natin, sabi ko, merong mga kamag-anak si Ginoong Marcos na nandiyan pa hanggang ngayon, for certain quarters, mainit na topic pa yun. Yung paglalaban nila na walang human rights abuses nangyari doon. Pero ang pao ko at commitment ko, itutulak ko nga, in both chambers. We will appeal to them and basically sa akin, yung my family, for instance, is already, I think my mom was still alive and she was the one who announced it. We're not interested as a family in the compensation per se, in monetary gain. But I think the primary interest has to be that the current, our government states that once upon a time, it failed in its mission to serve the people and actually oppress the people. That has to be clearly stated. And that law will put it in our law books and will put clarity for future references in our history books.
Pero sir, nag-usap naman kayo ni Senator Chis dun sa pending, I suppose, pending
Siyempre, meron ako syntax, meron budget, meron ano. Medyo tumatiming ako bago kausapin. Kasi siguro nung time, huwag natin kalimutan na, siyempre, tatay niya nag-serve rin kay Ginoong Marcos at bili pa rin kay Ginoong Marcos. Sabi nga nila, one at a time.
Regarding the syntax measure, since the Congress has already started again debates. Sir, yung balak ni Senator Trilon is still to use the committee report of Senator Recto, and from there on start introducing amendments. Sir, binaba nyo na into 40, from 60 to 40. So, personal preference nyo po ba ano ang dapat na peg ng syntax?
Ganda sana kung 60, magagamit ng health yun. Pero 40, I think, is also is a good number. No? And we have to recognize that, di ba, that's why there is a debate, di ba? May opposing point, may opposing camps. Then you have to achieve a happy compromise. And at 40, we're happy. At 60, we'll be happier. Pero 40 is already, I think, sufficient to meet the objectives. No? Both in terms of yung gaining more resources, managing the deficit, and pero most importantly, addressing the health issues. Yung most of the funds kasi that will be generated are earmarked for supporting our health program.
Sir, yung hindi ka pinatatanong dito sa yung personal take mo dun sa committee report ni Senator Recto before he resigned, where anong position mo dun?
Well, parang...
Would you prefer na he stayed or
Yung
okay lang sa inyo?
nagtatalo kasi doon sa sinasabi ng elasticity. I think that was one of the fundamental issues. No? Gaano maapekto ba yung revenue makukolekta natin pag tumaas yung presyo? Pag tumaas yung presyo, parang titigil na yung mga nagbibisyo sa alak o nagbibisyo sa sigarilyo. So, doon nagtalo. So, sabi niya, parang pananaw niya, unrealistic yung target sa hinahabol. Ako naman sumang-ayon dun sa mga nagsabing realistic tong targets na to. Dahil pag nagtaas, magbabawas pa sila ng konsumo nila. Medyo may time. Kaya nga naging habit bago matigil. So, papasok muna yung benepisyo. At kung sakasakaling makumbinsi nga bawasan yung kanilang bisyo o tigilin yung bisyo, so parang lahat makikirabang. So yung figures na nakinukot niya at yung revenues na nagmumula doon sa assumptions niya, hindi ako nakasangayon.
Sir, yung ano po yung assistance na ibibigay natin for the Filipino na implicated dun sa pagsabog ng fuel tank sa Saudi, and yung pong Filipino na nasa death row sa Vietnam?
Kaya tanong ko pala yung updates dyan. Kasi nung una natin nalaman na yung mga about, before we started actually, doon ko lang nalaman kasi 23 ang namatay. Hindi pala kasama yung driver ng truck na na-aksidente na ngayon na nakadetain dahil marami nga namatay. Yung presently nakadetain, so I assume that Alberta Embassy is in contact with him and has provided him with lawyers. Legal representation.
Yes, sir. Last information that we had, sir, is that he was still in the custody of the authorities, and we will be providing him all the assistance that he requires.
Yung sa Vietnam, it reminds me, I probably will try to look for an opportunity to talk to Premier Tanzong, who's a good friend of our country. So far, I read, for instance, recently na wala pang, yung mga sentenced to death in Vietnam, wala pa naman ina-execute lately. Lalo nung nag-shift sila to lethal injection. Wala raw yung the necessary chemicals. No? So, may times naman na may mga citizens silang na problema sa atin, for instance, sa fishing, at nilapit nila sa atin. Tayo naman lalapit ngayon na minimum na pakiusap natin, tayo tinanggal na natin yung death penalty, hingin natin minimum commutation sana. No? Kung kailangan life imprisonment, pero not to be with death. So, I'll do it informally first now, then we will communicate formally with both the President and the Prime Minister.
Sir, singit ko lang
Yung problema ko, I don't have complete details on our countryman in Vietnam, but the allegation is, hindi nahuling minsan, para bang multiple times na nag-engage in drug trafficking. At kung gano'n, di ba? May limits rin na pwede natin papakiusap. Gano'n natin pwede pakiusap.
Sir, singit ko lang yung death penalty daw nire-revive sa Congress. Stand yun.
ipa-perfect yung ating judicial system. Nandun pa rin yung potential. I used to think that if you have been given all of the opportunities to defend yourself and you're still proven guilty, para tama yung death penalty, lalo kung recidivist. Tapos yung after a while, we did come across instances talaga imperfect yung ating system. For instance, I think there was one particular instance where we had cause to interview a PAW lawyer, no, who handled in one evening 35 cases. Tapos para bang sinabi niyang advice niya, alam niyo, kung magpi-plead kayo guilty, vagrant siya yata at the time. Mag-plead na lang kayong guilty, fine kayo 200. Or mag-plead kayo not guilty, 3 beses kayo babalik dito minimum, baka mag-guilty pa kayo sa doon, babayad rin kayo fine. Para pare-pare lang tayong gumawa ng mundo, magbayad na lang kayo ng fine, maski palagay nyo hindi kayo guilty. So, simpleng ano yun, simpleng kaso of vagrantry. So, until hindi natin na-perfect yung nag-umpisa pa lang tayo kung tutusin yung substantial judicial reform, mahirap nang bawiin kung magkamali sa death penalty. But having said that also, sa mga law and order advocates naman, criticize ako ng ang kunat ko sa pagbibigay ng parole, commutation, etc. So, tinanong ko lang dito sa Secretary of Justice to discuss it with the Board of Pardons and Parole. Sa ating kasi sistema, bibigyan ka ng life sentence. No? Kamakailan naman, pinanood ako sila naman ng American, tapos alam procedures. Sa kanila, pag life, parang literal life. Si Siran yata, I think he's still incarcerated. Yung kay Sharon Tate, Manson, at saka yung dalawang babaeng kasama niya nakulong pa, have gone through so many parole hearings, they've never gotten parole. No? Sa atin parang pagpasok mo, una, in life, dinedefine 40 years. Pagkatapos na dinefine 40 years, pag umabot ka na ng 20, at hindi 20 na actual, no? 20 na kasama yung discount, yung good conduct allowance. So, pwedeng 15, pwedeng 16. Yung 40 years mo, magiging 16 na, pakakaulang ka na. So, parang ang iniisip ko, pagpasok mo sa kulungan, ano ba yung good conduct allowance? Nag-behave ka. Papasok ka sa bilibid, kung tigas ka man lang doon sa sitio mo kung saan ka galing, pag pumasok ka na sa national bilibid ng mga 20 mil na mas tigas sa'yo, behave ka lang siguro talaga. So, imbis na demonstration yun, na talaga nagbagong buhay sila, para necessity yun for survival. Kung ganon, bakit ka entitled to get, parang, lalo yung pag narinig mong inosente ako, si Latro na nandun, inosente. Yung issue dito kailangan sa rules nakalagay, exhibit a degree of remorse. Kung hindi mo ginawa yung kasalanan, so wala talaga remorse. So tapos may obligasyon tayo, protektahan yung lipunan rin. So hindi pa nagbagong buhay, may kalayaan ba tayo basta na lang pagpasok mo dito, automatic na tumatakbo yung metro na yung life hatiin, yung hati i-discount. No? Nasa-serve ba natin yung ends and justice? So ingat tayo sa pag-grant ng pardon, ng parole, ng commutation.
Sir, last. Sabi niyo po kagabi, alam niyo po yung feeling ng malamig ang Pasko. So, malamig pa po ba yung...
Ikaw na to. No change. No change in the status. Pero mainit to suot ko ngayon. Good for cold weather.